Well, this is the scene from Cedar Key on the west coast of Florida. Hurricane Idalia made landfall as a Category 3 system, packing sustained winds of 125 miles an hour and potentially catastrophic storm surge has been a result of this situation unfolding across the west coast of Florida. Over the next 12 hours or so, we'll see Idalia move across the north of Florida, South Georgia, and move out into the Atlantic. And then, of course, it's all eyes on where it goes next. So, thanks for clicking on to the video for today. I hope everybody is well and safe wherever you are. And we do have a very interesting situation evolving. Complexities in the situation with regards to our pattern in the next week, thanks to the tropics. Idalia making landfall in Florida, but also we've got Hurricane Franklin that is moving north over the North Atlantic, and that is going to have significant influence on our weather indirectly through the weekend and into next week as well. Our good friend Richard Trott sent us 500 millibar geopotential height anomalies for the summer so far. So, of course, we're just about to end meteorological summer. And despite the fact that we had such strong high pressure over the UK during the month of June, it's interesting that the period between the 1st of June and the 27th of August, this is the upper air pattern across the northern hemisphere. In fact, we've got that strong negative NAO signal, probably the most negative NAO since 2009 for the UK and Ireland. We've got, of course, this negative here extending from the the central North Atlantic through the Azores into Ireland and partially into the British Isles as well here, and that's factoring in the area of high pressure that we've seen back in June, of course. So thanks very much to Richard for sending that. Over the next 24 hours or so, I will have not only the September outlook, but also a recap and scoring of summer 2023. So the forecast versus the pattern that we've seen. This is August so far, as of the 27th, and you can see here the continuation of that blocking over Greenland, over the North Atlantic, and Iceland. While we had one of the wettest Julys on record for the UK, seventh wettest, I believe, on record for England, the wettest on record for Northern Ireland, and one of the record wettest for parts of Lancashire, including the Preston area. We in fact had the sunniest July on record for Iceland. So quite the stark contrast in just a few hundred miles. We had one of the dullest versus one of the sunniest on record based on the upper air pattern. And of course, with that negative trapped sandwiched between the block over Greenland, we also had the blocking area of high pressure over southwestern Europe. Hence, we've had quite remarkable heat waves, of course, during this summer season. The NAO being firmly negative. Of course, as the schools go back, that goes positive. We, of course, throw the tropics into the equation. These systems are driving tropical energy, tropical warmth northwards, engages with the jet stream that buckles the jet and then has influences downstream. This is the GFS ensemble, by the way, for the upcoming 5 days. And what actually happens is Franklin drives north. It pumps the area of high pressure to the east. We'll see a brief spell of high pressure moving through the first half of the weekend into the UK and Ireland here. So actually it means that we don't have an area of low pressure, I think, for the first time in the 10th weekend. We would have had, if low pressure was to, dominate the pattern this weekend, it would have been the 10th weekend in a row, believe it or not, with low pressure overhead controlling our weather. Now, of course, sunshine, showers, mixture of sun and cloud, that is the regime through the remainder of this week. We've got a fairly cool northwesterly airflow, keeping the temperatures subdued for the time of the year, even for late August standards into early September. What then happens is that as that system, that Franklin, moves northwards, pumps the area of high pressure over the UK initially, then essentially it regenerates the trough over the UK and Ireland before the strongest area of high pressure starts to kind of collapse, topple its way in from the north over the UK. And this is the GFS for the upcoming 5 day period. Notice here the negative that we initially see. Then it gets kicked into Iberia, bringing all sorts of disturbed weather here. We need to keep an eye on that. The northern flank of that may try and lift northwards once again. Depends exactly on the track of Franklin, how much it engages with an area of low pressure over the North Atlantic, as well as that also how much it buckles the jet here. But look at the 6 to 10 day, and this is the key thing here. It looks as if we're heading towards a much more settled and sustained settled theme. Is it a heat wave that we're going to see? Unlikely. Depends on the position of the area of high pressure, but the general emphasis will be on drier conditions. This is the 11 to 15 day period, which takes us out to the period 9th through 14th of September. Let's have a look at the CFSV2 for the same period here. Upcoming 7 days looks like this, very similar. Of course, we've got the negative over the North Atlantic, we've got the strong positive to the south, and also we've got the negative confined to Iberia. Week 2 looks like this here. We're strengthening the area of high pressure, particularly so across the northern half of the UK and Ireland here. And as I've already said to you, with an area of low pressure over either Spain and Portugal or Biscay, we may see with that core of high pressure further north a little bit of an influence of that low to the south moving northwards here. So we need to keep that in the in the context here. The period between the 13th and the 20th of September looks like this here. High pressure once again dominating, with the core centered to the north. Looking at the precipitation, and this is the more important factor as opposed to rainfall really, or temperature should I say. The upcoming 7 days looks like this here. So slightly wetter than average across England and Wales, drier than average across further north. Week 2, notice here that we're starting to dry things out here. Week 3 remains drier than average across the UK. Looking at the temperatures, it didn't show me that unfortunately for this. Interesting stuff, isn't it, with regards to the overall pattern. Let's have a very quick look at the weather charts and show you exactly what's taking place for the next several days here. So this is off the GFS, off weathercharts.com. You can see here that as we play through the remainder of this week, we're left in that kind of no man's land. Area of low pressure over the North Atlantic, area of low pressure also over the North Sea here. And then, of course, we get the daily blow up of showers and even embedded thunderstorms. Now, this area of low pressure is actually going to draw in something a little bit warmer and more humid into the mix. And as that energy moves across England and Wales, we could see some heavy downpours, embedded thunderstorms within that situation here as we go through Thursday and into Friday. Now, as Franklin moves north, we've got a very strong area of low pressure just to the south of Greenland. Initially, we've got that area of high pressure, like I said, over the UK and Ireland through the first half of the weekend, and then as we push towards the second half of the weekend, we may see some heavy rainfall breaking out over the north and west of the British Isles here. But notice the latest run in the GFS indicates that area of high pressure sticks around, and that looks to be the theme. When's the last time we've seen an area of high pressure linger over the UK for several days on end? We've not seen that really since June, believe it or not. And it looks as if we are going to maintain this high pressure dominated pattern, especially across the north, low pressure across the south, much more unstable weather across southern portions of Europe. And of course, we need to keep an eye on the northern flank of that unstable atmosphere. We may see showers, thunderstorms lifting northwards here with this overall situation here. It looks as if by Monday the 11th of September, it actually gets a little bit more messy over the UK. And the reason why that might be the case is the Magellan Oscillation and also the tropics. I think the tropics are going to start to shut down actually over the Atlantic as the MJO shifts from the maritime continental region, Indonesia, Australia, as that pulse of enhanced thunderstorm activity moves into the western portion of the Pacific. That tends to lead to higher pressure over the northwest of Europe at this time of the year here. And of course, high pressure during the month of September is fairly typical, generally speaking, from a climatological point of view, higher than average pressure it tends to be a given here, or certainly high pressure generally overall. So a fairly short video today. The tropics are, of course, alive and kicking. It is going to bring, it looks like, a more sustained settle spell to the UK through, the second half of week 1 of September into week 2, and then of course it's all eyes beyond that. It depends on the Magellan oscillation. It depends on the tropical Atlantic and other such factors. So we shall just sit back and wait and see what happens, of course. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Like I say, check out the on marvelwinweather.com. I will have the September forecast released on the website, as well as that scoring of the summer 2023 forecast overall, and kind of forecast versus the actual reality of the pattern here. Also, if you haven't already done so, be sure to check out the global weather report from last Sunday. Also talking about the some of the winter aspects in the last couple of videos as well. So do check that out if you haven't already done so, and I'll see you again tomorrow with more. Bye for now.